Welcome to the number one spot health and wellness practitioners go to double their current income and turn their 10-hour work day into a 10-hour work week. Join us as we dive into the tips, tools, and tech you need to create a life and practice on your own terms. More freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, and of course, funds. It's time to build your online practice. And I'm your host, Michelle Rogers, also known as the WELLthy Woman. Be sure to subscribe for your weekly dose of education, inspiration, and action. Let's get started. We are going to dive into client communication and boundaries, which is such a huge thing because in my experience, so I've trained over 90 practitioners at this point, and there's some real common themes, at least with the practitioners that end up in my space. And a lot of that has to do with pre-programming, socialized programming that we have sort of taken on from childhood, from society, from whatever. And a lot of those things include people-pleasing behaviors and just not really feeling able to express our needs, wants, desires, boundaries, right, through the avenue of communication. And so this type of conversation is something that I would love to have more light brought to, however you want to say that. Like, I just want there to be an open conversation around this, because I think a lot of practitioners struggle in this area because they don't want to disappoint. They don't want to offend. They don't want to lose clients, right? Or at least those are the fears that sometimes we have. So I'm excited to jump into this with you. And yeah, let's dive in. So client communication and boundaries, the skills you need to protect and harness your energy and health, right? Because it is having to do with our health as well. It's not just like some weird energetic thing, which that's part of it, but it's like how we take care of ourselves, right? So in this presentation, my hope is that I can share the exact strategies that I used to master client communication and boundaries, unleashing the power to protect your energy, elevate your health, and build a thriving online practice. Okay, so, and like I briefly mentioned, stay put till the end, especially if you like this presentation and you just want to learn more from me. I have something super special that is going to be time sensitive for you. I hope you love it. And if you haven't met me yet, or we haven't interacted yet, hi, I'm Michelle. And I'm so excited you're here. So my philosophy is that when we give our body the right information, instructions, environment, it does what it does best, which is heal. And I think because you're here, you probably think the same thing. And the thing is that as practitioners, I believe that empowered practitioners lead to empowered people, right? We have the capacity to change the world literally. Like the ripple effect that we can have when we take care of ourselves is absolutely massive, right? You think about how you're able to show up when your cup is full, right? When you're giving from that overflow state instead of that sustenance from the exhaustion, the depletion, the resentment, right? We're going to jump into that today because this piece is maybe the most foundational piece to that, right? Like really dialing in this is going to help you in all those other ways. So my guess is that you likely feel overwhelmed. Maybe there's unreasonable client demands, struggling to manage your workload, constantly feeling stretched thin. Maybe there's some resentment, right? Clients who push your boundaries lead to a strain in your relationship and a sense of frustration and dissatisfaction, right? And lack of fulfillment. So you struggle to provide the level of care and support you desire, leaving you longing for a more impactful and rewarding practice, right? Who here feels like that? I see some comments coming through. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Anybody, does this resonate? Not Fresno, Australia. Oh, it's Tuesday. Nice, Emma. I accidentally had said Tuesday, so I thought you were picking up on that earlier. Hey, Vanessa, nice to see you. Amazing. So hopefully this is resonating. I know it resonates with a lot of practitioners. And so, yeah, Vanessa says, yeah. So it's okay, right? A lot of times we can attach shame to those feelings or guilt to those feelings too, especially with things like resentment. But it's normal. And we'll talk about resentment specifically a little bit later on. So my goal for you inside or after this program, or as things start to unfold, as you start to apply these skills and bring more awareness to this area in your life and practice, is that you feel more empowered, more aligned, more fulfilled, right? Empowered, you'll have the confidence to take control of your practice, client interactions, personal well-being, feeling more aligned. So your practice will reflect your authentic self, allowing you to provide the highest level of care while honoring your own needs. And then feeling actual fulfillment, right? Isn't that the goal? Like the positive impact you can make on your clients' lives will lead to a deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction. Okay. So quotes, we like quotes here, right? Boundaries are a part of self-care. They are healthy, normal, and necessary. Okay. So let's pre-frame this a bit. The reason why is I want to share why this unseen work, like the soft skills, some people say, is really so significant. So what this can fix or what this can address. So mastering client communication and boundaries offers transformative benefits to practitioners and their practice, right? By implementing these skills, you can cultivate improved client relationships based on trust, understanding, and effective communication. Clients are going to feel heard, supported, and valued, resulting in enhanced client satisfaction, loyalty, and positive word of mouth referrals. We like referrals here, right? All right. Beautiful. So you'll also establish healthy boundaries so you can safeguard your energy, prevent burnout, right? Or start to reverse it and prioritize your own well-being, ultimately leading to increased vitality, joy, and longevity along your entrepreneurial journey, right? Because as you're building your online practice, you are stepping into entrepreneurship. That is just a fact. And it takes its toll, or it can, right? It's not just this like singular, like straight line of like, yay, I'm on the path and it's all beautiful and easy and smooth, right? No, entrepreneurship can have roller coasters. It can have ups and downs. And so you're signing up for something that most people won't dare to jump into, right? Because there can be so much uncertainty. There can be unpredictability, at least in the beginning, right? Unless you have the strategies in place, you have someone guiding you through that process. It can be like kind of tough, right? But I encourage you, if you don't already, to really embrace the term and like really step into the embodied entrepreneur that you are becoming. So the thing is, effective communication and boundaries lay the foundation for building a thriving online practice, allowing you to reach a wider audience, attract ideal clients, that's key, and achieve financial success. So what stops us from doing this, like from having boundaries or effective communication? So it's really important to address the obstacles, the self-sabotaging behaviors that might really hinder practitioners from effectively implementing client communication and boundaries, right? These barriers might include fear of confrontation or disappointing clients, right? That people pleaser tendency, lack of assertiveness, which could be a thing too, right? Especially as women, right? In the health and wellness space. Like we've a lot of times grown up being like, you can't be too assertive, right? Because that comes off as a negative. And so we've become quiet, or we don't use our voice, or we don't state our needs, or we don't claim when a boundary has been crossed, right? A desire to please everyone, again, the people pleaser, a belief that setting boundaries might negatively impact the client practitioner relationship. All of these really go back to like that people pleaser, like lack of assertiveness kind of thing, right? But by acknowledging and understanding these challenges, you can really proactively develop strategies and mindset shifts to overcome these obstacles and embrace the powerful transformation that effective communication and boundaries can bring. So if we can master this, like if we can like really start practicing this and like bringing it into our life and our practice, you'll have the ability to create greater work-life balance, right? I prefer the word integration, but balance, reclaiming your time and energy for personal pursuits, and self-care without sacrificing the quality of client care, right? You'll experience more financial success and you'll attract ideal clients. Like this is the key, right? When you start realizing this, like, oh, wow, like I can actually communicate. I can state my boundaries. I can really feel empowered in like how, like what's good for me, like what my needs, wants, desires are. Like that's going to work perfectly for your ideal clients. And the people who are not your ideal clients, they're going to just like go their own way. They're going to fall away, and it's going to be no big deal because you really don't want to be working with those people anyway, right? You're going to establish yourself as a trusted expert. You're going to build a thriving online practice that aligns with your values and your goals. Okay. Additionally, you're more likely to enjoy personal fulfillment and a sense of purpose as you witness the positive impact you make in your clients' lives, empowering them to create meaningful change and contribute to the well-being of others. This is the ripple effect, because the thing is that when you show up fully embodied in yourself, like your personal power, and you're able to communicate effectively, transparently, and like share your boundaries, that not only allows you to show up in the best possible way that you can, like in your true essence, so that you can share your light with the world, but it gives other people permission to do the same. Other people in this instance being your clients, right? But also your family, if you're showing up that way consistently. But like, you get to give your clients that permission too, and they can be like, whoa, like you're setting such a beautiful example. And now I can do what I need to do in the world, right? It's massive. So let's talk about setting clear boundaries, protecting your energy and well-being. I'm going to take a sip. Is this resonating so far? You guys following along? All right. Sweet. Okay. Let's go into key elements. So setting clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries is going to protect your energy and well-being, like we've said, right? By establishing boundaries in various aspects of your practice, you'll gain the confidence to create a sustainable and fulfilling practice. Remember that boundaries are just important for your clients as they are for you, right? They benefit. And keeping this piece in mind, I think, is really, really helpful for us to be able to set the boundaries that feel really aligned for us. Because we're like, oh, okay, like my boundaries are actually creating safety and security and creating like clarity, right? Which brings ease to the relationship between me and my client. So those boundaries create a better situation, a better relationship, a better container for your clients. So setting clear boundaries when it comes to sales calls. So clearly communicating your services, of course, areas of expertise, ensuring they have a clear understanding of what it is that you offer, right? This is kind of obvious, but it's also really, really important. Discuss your pricing structure upfront, right? Making it clear that your rates reflect the value and expertise that you provide. Setting expectations around your availability for consultations, communication platforms, and initial sessions. Establishing boundaries around when you're open to scheduling appointments, right? So for example, I would let people know that I take the last week off of every single month. So they can't expect to hear back from me during that period of time. Might I get back to them during that period of time? Possibly, but I need to set a clear expectation or a boundary that says I likely will not. So they can expect to not hear from me that week, right? And I might send them a reminder the week before that just to be like, hey, next week's my week off. So if there's anything you want to ask me or whatever, like let me know today, or let me know within the next 48 hours, right? So just being really specific and clear helps to set that boundary. This is also your first opportunity, like the sales call and really running through these sort of things is your first opportunity to filter out the red flags, to filter out the people who you don't want to work with, who would end up taking up 80% of your time, that would contribute to exhaustion, burnout, depletion, all the things that we don't want to be experiencing, right? But it's also the best time to identify your dreamiest clients, the people who are just an energetic match for you, the people who are like, oh my gosh, like I love working with you. They're happy to pay you for your time, your expertise, the value that you're bringing to the table, right? So there's that. Outlining your scope of services. So clearly communicating the scope of your services, detailing what's included, what's not included. You know, are you including functional labs? Are you not including labs? Are you including supplements? Are you not including supplements? Like what all is included? Are you doing per session? Is it unlimited? Do you know, all the little nitty gritty details around creating your offer. Defining the boundaries of your expertise and make it explicit which areas fall outside of your services, right? So for example, this could be like, hey, I'm not a primary care provider. I'm not an urgent care provider. I am not available 24/7. I do require you to have a primary care provider and I want you to provide their name and number, right? Like being very clear around those expectations. educating clients about the limitations and potential challenges they might encounter during their journey. This ensures they have a realistic understanding of the process and prevents potential disappointments, right? So it's just, that could be as simple as not everybody responds in the same exact way. The program tends to be about 6 months, but we might need to extend it to 7 months or so, depending on how you progress through the program, since everybody is individual, like everybody responds individually, right? Offer alternative resources or referrals if a client's needs fall outside of your scope, right? This is taking ownership of like, you can't do everything, okay? So, and letting them know, during the period of time together, I might make a referral to someone else, okay? I used to do this a lot with like visceral manipulation or acupuncture, something that was more hands-on. I'd know where they were living. I'd do some research. I'd find someone. I'd be like, hey, I would love for you to go see this practitioner. But this is really just, again, building that trust, because you're demonstrating your commitment to their well-being and providing options for additional support. Okay. Client agreements. We can't talk about boundaries unless we talk about client agreements, right? So just clearly articulating, again, your communication policies and preferred channels of contact, right? Are you doing email? Are you doing Voxer? Are you doing Practice Better Chat? Are you doing, like, how are they communicating? So just being really clear around how they can reach you, right? And how that happens, how does scheduling happen, all that kind of stuff. Setting expectations around response times, right? Are you like, you probably don't want to be on call, right? Unless you're like a midwife or something like that. But, just saying like, if you send me a message, it's going to take 24, 48 hours, whatever you want to say for that. I'm not available on the weekends. I'm not available after a certain time in the evening, that kind of thing. Specifying whether you'll be available for immediate responses or designate specific hours for communication, right? Outline session lengths and the number of sessions per week or month, ensuring both you and the client are on the same page regarding the time commitment and frequency of sessions, right? You don't want there to be any confusion there. So for example, I had unlimited support inside of my one-on-one containers. However, I had really specific boundaries around when I was available, right? I wasn't available after a certain time of day. I wasn't available on the weekend. I wasn't available during the last week of the month. So even though it was like unlimited, like they could message me anytime, but I might not get back to them until my hours of operation, right? And that even goes with consults, right? Like you can schedule as many consults as you want. People aren't scheduling them every day. I've never had a client take advantage of that. And in the contract or in the client agreement, you can also say like, you can have as many consults as you want, up to 1 per week or 2 per week or whatever feels good for you. And then what else? Consider including a section in your agreement that addresses rescheduling, cancellation, refund policies, all that kind of stuff. So managing client expectations, this is always a good thing to think about before things go awry, right? So this is, you've like created, you're starting to create the boundaries. This is really, and sort of enforcing the boundaries in a sense. So when you're managing client expectations, effective strategies can help manage client expectations, ensuring clarity, trust, and alignment in your professional relationships, right? By setting realistic goals, outlining the scope of your services, like we talked about, and providing transparent information about what clients can expect from your programs or sessions, right? This helps establish a strong foundation that prevents confusion or misunderstandings and fosters client satisfaction. Just so you don't have 2 months into your program, your client's like, but wait, I thought like this is what we were doing. And you're like, no, remember, like we mapped it out, right? So we just want to make sure. So setting realistic goals. Engage in an open dialogue with your clients to understand their goals, desires, and expectations. Ask probing questions to gain a clear understanding of what they hope to achieve through your services. Ideally, you're doing this in your sales call too, right? Because the whole point of a sales call isn't to make the sale, right? The point of the sales call is to make sure that you can help them, right? So you just need to know what their expectations are. If they think that they're going to get better in 2 weeks, like you need to have an honest conversation with them. Like maybe they're not the best fit. Like maybe you're not the best fit, right? So just being clear around like, hey, it's going to take this period of time or whatever. Collaboratively set realistic and achievable goals that align with their needs and capabilities. Break down larger goals into smaller measurable milestones to track progress and celebrate achievements. I love tracking progress. I use something called the Body Systems Questionnaire, which is something that I share inside of the Wealth Mentorship or inside of the Wealth Academy now. And provide education and guidance to help clients understand the timeframes, effort, and commitment required to reach their goals. This helps manage their expectations and promotes a realistic understanding of the process. One of the biggest gaps I see with a lot of practitioners is that when it comes to supplements or protocols, they do not map things out clear enough. And so what I have found to be very helpful is to provide the client with a very clear understanding of the strategy. Like, we're doing this piece of the protocol, it's going to last this long, it's anticipated that you're going to be on this supplement for this long, and then we'll stop, and then like being very clear so they're not taking, like, I just see too many people who are taking supplements and they're like, I have like no idea how long I'm supposed to be on this, so I'm just going to like stop taking it. Like, there needs to be more communication there and more expectations set around that kind of stuff for sure. Transparent communication. This is kind of the underlying tone of everything we've been talking about so far, but really fostering open and transparent communication with clients from the beginning, right? Clearly articulating the expectations, policies, guidelines related to your programs and sessions, including duration, frequency, mode of communication, all the things. Just be as clear as possible. I can't emphasize enough the importance of over communicating, right? We don't realize how much we assume when we're like telling people things or explaining, like, because we're already, I don't know about you, but like I'll be talking and my mind is already like 10 steps ahead and I just like assume they're following along. And so I have trained, and I continue to train myself to slow down and make sure that I am actually communicating what needs to be communicated. Because my mouth just can't keep up with my brain. That's just true. Providing written materials, always a fantastic idea, right? So that you can reference them. You can say, oh, hey, like, check out the thing that I sent you that maps out what we're supposed to be doing here, like protocols, like client agreements, all those good things. Encourage clients to ask questions and seek clarification when needed. I believe you cannot overemphasize this point enough, right? Like, even with my clients who have unlimited access to me, like I have VIP clients right now, I check in with them. You don't have to check in with them, but I check in with them at least weekly. And I'm like, hey, what's up? What are you going through this week? How can I assist you this week? Like, ask me your questions, da, 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 da. And it's just like, the more you're there, because this is probably the reason, is because I'm like this as well, is I'll just kind of get tunnel vision and I'll just become an island or a lone wolf or whatever. And I'll just like do my own thing. So having someone like a mentor or coach kind of tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, how can I assist you, is really helpful. And that's the case for practitioners too, with their clients, right? And just being like, hey, how can I assist you this week? What are you doing? What do we need to troubleshoot? Like, how are you on this? Like, just really encouraging that open line of communication, because I personally would much rather my client ask me a question than assume something and do it incorrectly, right? Especially if you're like in the midst of a protocol, right? Things can become very tricky and chaotic very fast if they're just guessing what, next steps are, what they need to be doing. So I'm always like, ask me, like, don't hesitate to ask me. Creating a safe and non-judgmental space, of course, right? Like, working with clients, I remember all the time, like I would talk to them and they'd be like, I was scared to reach out to you or whatever. I'm like, wait, what? And so that just like retrained me to do the reaching out and just the checking in and all that kind of stuff. Cause I don't think as practitioners, we like get mad at our clients, but they tend to like just feel so guilty or like feel ashamed that they're like not following something or they fell off the wagon or whatever. So we're there to support them, right? And provide that accountability and provide that guidance. So what else? Yeah, I think that sums up that. Gracefully say no. I think Johanna had asked this around like how to say no to your clients. So one of the things is really developing assertiveness skills to gracefully say no when requests don't align with your boundaries or areas of expertise. So this takes practice and a little bit of strategy. So I will be diving deeper into this a little bit later this week in a program that I'm hosting that I'll tell you all about in a bit. But it does take some practice, okay? Practice clear and direct communication using I language or I statements to express your limitations or availability, really ditching that ambiguity, right? You don't want to create the murky, like loose end, leaky energy kind of thing and just like own it. Like, I feel this, like, this is what I'm witnessing. Instead of like blaming or projecting or whatever that might be, where it's like, you are doing this, or like you. We want to own our own observations and feelings and emotions and all the things. Offering alternative solutions or referrals if you're unable to accommodate a client's request, demonstrating your commitment again to their well-being, right? Also, it's okay to terminate a client agreement. I have had to do it. I've only had to do it once. And it was towards the end of our container. There was only like 1 or 2 more months left, but she was just like basically kept complaining about filling up her supplement like box or whatever. And this was someone who could have hired someone to do it for her if she really wanted. And I was just like, this isn't working. Like, I just can't do this. And it felt so good. Of course, it was really challenging to like approach that conversation and like start that conversation, but it felt so good. So I want to dive into like having hard conversations, because I think a lot of us can shrink and recoil and remain silent when those hard conversations need to be had. And so one of my favorite resources is nonviolent communication, that framework. There's a book called Nonviolent Communication. But I have found it to be extremely helpful when you're navigating difficult conversations and having those conversations with clients or people in your life, whether it's partner, friend, whoever, because it really helps promote empathy, understanding, resolution, and just like more productive interaction. So practice active listening and seek to understand the underlying needs and concerns of your clients, validating their emotions and perspectives, showing empathy and compassion. So again, using that I language, like I mentioned earlier, but basically the framework is right here. Basically, it's observations. So what is the actual observation? What is the actual objective data? What happened? This is what happened. This is what I observed. There's no emotion, no interpretation. Like, this is the facts, the logical facts. The feelings of like, hey, this happened, right? We mapped it out. This is what happened. It made me feel this. So because you showed up late to our consult, or because you've been showing up for like perpetually late for our consults, I feel disrespected. You know, needs. So needs is after feelings. So needs is like, I work with clients that and I have a certain standard and a certain boundary, and I need my clients to show up on time for us to be able to have a collaborative relationship and partnership and really make this work in a way that works for me and you. And then request is like, my request is that, if we miss any more consults or you're late for any more consults, my request is that we terminate our container. That's just a total off the wall, like, example, but that's the framework: is observations, feelings, needs, requests. And that really takes the blame game out of it and really helps you own like your own experience with that, with whatever happened, with whatever circumstances there, right? So this really helps create a safe and non-confrontational space for discussing challenging topics. Maintain a solution-oriented approach by collaboratively exploring potential alternatives or compromises that address both your needs with and the client's concerns. So striving for that win-win outcome that honors the client's goals while staying within the scope of your practice, right? So you might state your request and then the client's like, I can't do that. And then it's like, okay, cool. Like, what would work for you, right? And then you can negotiate and see if that does work for you. And if it doesn't, then you say, cool, let's part ways, okay? So self-care and energy management. So refining your approach for growth. This piece is really, really important when you're growing and scaling. But it's really important to do it while you're setting the foundations, right? If you get this in place early on where it's just natural, this is just something that's already happening, that is going to help accelerate your growth a lot, because you won't have to try and figure out how to interweave it into, your busy life, right? So, the question, do you recognize the vital role of self-care and energy management in your journey as a practitioner as you grow your online practice? Because let me tell you, I see a lot of practitioners out there who are saying self-care this, self-care that, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that. And are they doing it? Nope. Right? So walking your talk. Okay. You know the importance of self-care. I do not have to explain it to you. And like, it's so freaking important as you are entering this new space. Exactly. Vanessa's like, nope. Exactly. Exactly. So like, I could have just ditched this whole part of the presentation, but I know how important it is, right? My goal, my role as a coach and mentor is to point out your own blind spots, right? I know they're there because I've been there and I've worked with a whole load of practitioners, right? So you know this, by prioritizing your own physical, mental, and emotional well-being, you lay a solid foundation for personal growth and the ability to scale your practice, right? You cannot scale your practice if you're still running on fumes. No, 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 no. No one wants to do that, right? We have to implement effective strategies, set personal boundaries, engage in regular self-reflection, practice self-care activities, and seek support from mentors and or colleagues, right? So setting personal boundaries. Okay, so defining clear boundaries between your personal and professional life, establishing dedicated work hours, especially if you're working from home, right? Like I have a dedicated office space. I work from home, but I have a dedicated office space. So I can turn off my computer. I can exit the office. Like I'm done. That's my commute, right? Like if you're and if you don't have an office, I highly recommend you start dedicating a space to your office instead of just like working on the couch or working at the kitchen table or something like that, because it's a lot harder to create those delineations between work and like personal life. So allowing for rest, relaxation, time with loved ones. Some people choose to have like a work phone and a personal phone. I have done that in the past. I'm not doing that right now, but it is probably something that I will start doing again. There were parts of it I liked and parts of it I didn't like, but that's an opportunity or it's an option, right? Practice assertiveness and learn to gracefully say no, like we talked about, to friends and family when necessary, ensuring that you prioritize your well-being and prevent overextending yourself, right? Pro tip, if you feel resentment at all towards anyone, that is a clear indication that a boundary has been crossed. So that's an invitation to you to be like, oh, where was I not enforcing my boundary, right? Because that's not them. It has nothing to do with them. It's you. You allowed that boundary to be crossed. Okay? Little. All right. Self-reflection. So engaging in regular self-reflection to deepen your self-awareness and understand your own needs. Super important. So many of us like just have never spent time thinking about what our own needs are, right? Or we've just gotten so lost in the sauce, we can't like figure out what those needs are. So allocating time to assess your energy levels, your emotions, your areas of potential stress or imbalance, journaling, meditation, mindfulness practices, whatever works for you, right? These are just suggestions. They can help you tune into your inner self and gain clarity on your thoughts, feelings, or priorities. Maybe it's just going for a walk. Maybe a lot of people get downloads in the shower, right? Like any place where you can kind of just let go, really. Evaluate your work processes and identify areas that may be draining your energy or hindering your growth. Explore ways to streamline tasks. Delegate. Delegation is my favorite form of self-care when possible, and focus on high-value activities that align with your goals. Okay? Like high-value activities are like you and your zone of genius. Okay? Delegate out everything else or work towards it. Pro tip, no one knows your needs unless you share them, right? How many of us like just assume that people know what we need? Are we just like, we're kind of like, why aren't they reading my mind? Right? We need to share them. That's part of that communication aspect, okay? Regular self-care activities. You know this. developing a personalized self-care routine that nourishes your mind, body, and soul. Prioritize activities that bring you joy, relaxation, rejuvenation. Could be exercise, could be spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness, engaging in creative hobbies, whatever that may be, dance, like whatever, tarot reading, I don't know. Schedule self-care activities into your calendar and treat them as non-negotiable appointments. This is big, right? This reinforces the importance of self-care and ensures you consistently make time for yourself, right? I know if something's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't exist. Okay. So view self-care as a standard or a boundary. It's a non-negotiable appointment with yourself, right? Seeking support. So build or join a support network of mentors, colleagues, like-minded professionals, practitioners who understand the challenges and rewards of the journey, of the entrepreneurial journey, of being in the online space. Okay. Connect with them regularly, share experiences, seek advice, gain fresh perspectives. Okay. It's so easy to just stay in our own like tunnel vision, right? Consider engaging in clinical development programs or business coaching to enhance your skills and receive guidance and on self-care, scaling your practice. Seek support from trusted professionals, therapists, wellness practitioners, right? We can't see our own blind spots. We need our own practitioners as well. Okay. I hope it was helpful. I hope you gained some insights. If any follow-up questions come up, feel free to pop them in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hit say replay in the comments. I would love to see that. But anywho, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Monday, rest of your week, whenever you're watching this, and be sure to sign up for Surefire Success before Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to join us and get 70% off, because that's crazy. But that's all I have for now. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening and week, and I will chat with you soon.
All right, that's a wrap for today. If you want the exact breakdown of how I help practitioners go from their first 5K to consistent 50K months with just 2 offers, 10 hours per week, and an audience of less than 500 people, be sure to click the link in the podcast description or head to wealthywoman.co/breakdown. To make sure you don't miss an episode, be sure to subscribe. And for daily online practice insights, follow me on Instagram at wealthywoman.co. Let's create your life of wealth full of abundance, purpose, health, wealth, and joy.